Hi, I'm Brett Lowe, and it's good to see everybody here at RiverLake Church. I'm talking from a spot at our church that's near and dear to my heart, our parking lot, where I've made so many friends, seen so many smiling faces, and still continue to make friends and meet new folks. And this is just a really fun spot for us to be. So I'm glad to be here. And I just wanted to share a few experiences I've had where God has talked to me and my family and answered prayers. This is actually today is a National Day of Prayer, so it's kind of special on the calendar. And like I said, I'd like to share just a couple of instances where God has definitely influenced our life, and all to the positive. I wrote down a few examples, and one of them was about 6 years ago, July 4th. Me and my family, Becky, my wife, and my dad and stepmom and some other family all met in French Lick, Indiana. And it was a great celebration of America's birthday. Had a good time, went out to eat. We ate some German food. I remember that for sure. And what happened was later that night, we all kind of went to our rooms, and I got a call a little later that night, and my stepmother asked if I had any Benadryl, that my dad's was kind of having some kind of allergic reaction. And we're trying to figure out what's going on. Well, then all of a sudden she calls me back, says, "You need to come here. He's gasping for air." So we got in the room, and of course, when you see somebody that has like anaphylactic shock, their lips swell up, they have trouble breathing. We don't know of any allergies he had. So luckily, some of the staff were EMTs there. They figured out real quick that he needed an ambulance. So during that time we're waiting on the ambulance, he was gasping for air, and for a few, maybe a minute or there, he wasn't breathing. So it was really scary. I know some first aid, but luckily we were able to stabilize him enough to get him to the hospital. So we have no idea what's going on. Follow the ambulance to the hospital. We get to this little bitty hospital emergency room there in Paoli, Indiana. And of course they know how to deal with anaphylactic shock. So give him some treatment. He starts being able to breathe. Some of the swelling's going down. And Becky's in the waiting room. I'm in the room with Dad, and she finds this little old newspaper. The lady's about to clean up and throw away a newspaper. She grabs it, just says, "I want something to read." She starts reading about this farmer that's local to the area who had a similar attack like that. And what it was, and you probably know it's become more popular, but it's basically an allergy to red meat. And we didn't know anything about it back even 6 years ago. So it's an alpha-gal syndrome, and they were able to treat that. She kept that paper, and she said, "Look, you need to look at this. This is exactly what's happening to him." So a tick bites you, and it basically makes your body think you're allergic to proteins in certain types of meat. Of course, if we'd known that, we would have steered him clear of that. But it took quite a while for the doctors to finally give in and give him tested, and sure enough, that's what he had. So I just think that a little thing like that, showing it to the staff and letting them know, and hopefully, I know there's no doubt that God left that newspaper laying there for us. It helped get his treatment faster. It's not, it is amazing, but it's not uncommon. It happens plenty of times. I'll stick with my dad and stepmother. Another thing happened, and I know we were at church here, and I shared with a lot of members on the prayer request. My stepmother, Susie, had some liver problems, and she just went down really fast, just out of the blue. Wind up needing, after the final treatment, she was looking pretty rough, and prayers were always coming in for her. It finally came down to where she needed a transplant. So we got the news, we knew to be ready, but you hear stories of people being on transplant lists for years, months at the least. We were happy that she was on that list, but Becky and I went to dinner that night. Maybe 15 minutes later, we get a call they're flying in a liver for her transplant. It was that quick. She was on the list for 15 minutes. And if that's not God talking to you, I can't. There's no doubt. He is working miracles every day. And for our family to be touched a few times like that, and there's like I say, there's no doubt that God is definitely listened to our prayers, because we prayed a whole lot. Our whole family, friends. I can't tell you how many people were praying, but today she's totally recovered and fine. Dad's had a spinal injury. It's pretty amazing how we found that. We thought at first it was something else, but he's made a good recovery, and we're all doing fine. But these were life-threatening conditions that God answered our prayers. And just if you ever have doubt, just come see me or any of my family. We'll tell you that there's no doubt that God will answer prayers. Of course, I wanted to share a verse with you. This is out of the James chapter 1, verse 6. But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. And so that's telling me a couple of things. You have to trust in God and have your faith and be all in. A lot of the times we think of, I'll tell you about me. I'm always a thinker. I'm thinking way ahead. I should be playing chess, but I like checkers. But I'm always moving ahead a little bit, thinking about the consequences, what could happen, what could go right, what could go wrong. But when you're praying, you just go all in with your faith. And I was talking to someone earlier, Seth, about Tom's fires over at his house, Tom Lampum. And him and Janelle have a fire pit, and we always like sitting around there, and it's a great fire. And when you see that wood stacked up like that to me, in a way, can represent God's word. And just having that there, you have to have something else. And the flame that burns that is our faith in God. And you have to have both to make it work, and you have to be all in. Talking about prayers, I'm not one to ask for many prayers, but I'll go ahead and share an experience that I've been having. Just a routine scan. I went into the doctor. I was going to get a hernia repaired, and he's like, let's do a CAT scan just to make sure. So they did the scan. Didn't hear anything back. I said, make sure to check all the guts out. I want to make sure everything's fine. And about a week later, he calls and says, we need to do some more tests. And you never want to hear that. But what they found was a mass growing on my left kidney. And of course, you get a little nervous. You say some prayers right there. It's just pretty much me and Becky talking about it and some close family members. But after doing some more tests, it winds up being, it is cancer. It's not big. It's going to be definitely treatable for sure. I'm about a week away from getting that tumor removed. And of course, I've shared with our prayer team, my small group. I appreciate all the prayers, and it's kind of different asking for prayers, because you don't take that lightly. And the people that are sending those prayers, you know that they really care for you. And it's hard to describe, but I could tell when prayers are coming in. I don't know what to say. It's just it's a mixture of emotions, but you can feel it. And does it help your body? Absolutely. Body, mind, and spirit. I haven't had really any bad effects. Everything's going good. By the time you see this, I'll already have the procedure done. And like I was talking with Seth, I'm positive that it's going to turn out okay. I trust in God, and I appreciate all the prayers. And if you're ever in doubt, just talk to God. And like I said, be all in. he's what we're all here about. And I just want to say I love everybody in our church. Thank you for the prayers. God bless.